Hey guys, JD here with the Yamaha FX SVHO WaveRunner, and today I'll be installing the Power Filter cold air intake kit from Riva Racing. I also include this waterproof bonnet. This is the kit. It comes with this plastic tubing here, comes with instructions, it comes with their coupler and a couple fittings that you need in order to get this installed on your HKS Supercharger. Little hardware package here. Here's an aluminum bracket. And here is that really big filter pod. My first impression on it, I hope that this is stainless on the top here, because if it's not, it's going to rust pretty quickly. So in conjunction with this cold air intake, I will also be installing this rib and delete kit right here. Because the Riva Racing Power Filter also qualifies as an approved U.S. Coast Guard flame arrestor, you can safely remove the unreliable and restrictive factory ribbon element. Stay tuned for the complete tutorial where I show you all the steps needed to remove your manifold and upgrade it using this Riva kit. I highly suggest you do this in conjunction with the power filter to get the maximum airflow into your engine. So this job is really straightforward, and I'm going to take you through the entire process. So first, we're going to remove the duct from the supercharger to the airbox. You can remove the duct from the intercooler to the supercharger as well if you'd like for more room. So for now, we're going to put our PCV breather line out of the way, and then we're going to remove this duct right here by loosening the two hose clamps using a 7mm socket. Once those two hose clamps are loosened, you can reach in and pull this elbow out fairly easily. And then this duct is going to come out right like that. All right, so now let's get this stock airbox out. The first thing I'm going to do is go through and pop all of these clips. So I believe there's 8 total clips. Once you get those, you could then pull this air filter out. All right, and you can see that this has got this pleated paper. I'm sure it's waterproof, but I don't know. We're going to go ahead and remove those bolts and get all this plastic out of the way. And you can see that they'll come out just like this. Aluminized steel, not even stainless. This airbox is, I'll tell you this is nicer than the Kawasaki Ultra 310 airbox. Okay, so once you get those out, you're just going to pull this out like that. So now we've got 4 more bolts holding this plastic plate in the way. I've seen some people leave that in place. So that's completely up to you at your discretion. I'm going to take it out. All right, so I got those out. There's one zip tie right there. So with a little razor blade, you're just going to go ahead, cut that zip tie, and then pull this plastic piece out right here. There you go. All right, so evidently some skis will have a protector panel here. Mine does not. So now what we have to do is pull this bolt right here. All right, so to secure this, you're going to need to actually reuse one of these little brass nylon lock nuts. These are located right here. So you will need one of those to complete this process. All right, so this longer bolt and washer, you're going to go ahead and install like this. So we're going to tighten this supplied bolt. And again, this is plastic, so you don't want to tighten it too much. All right. Now you'll see that this bolt has a little bit more thread sticking out. Now we're going to take this bracket here, and it's going to go like this, okay? This is going to go, and I'll try to get you a shot here. So it's going to go just like that. You can see that this bevel is going to go over these 2 rivets here and that blind nut, and then the front part is just going to stick out like that. And then we're going to put the spacer now over this. Okay, so we have this little spacer here, and this is what it should look like once you have it installed properly. So there's our spacer with the open part facing the bracket. There's our nylon lock nut, and there is the bracket just like that. All right, so now that we've got that bracket all installed there, we are now ready to install this aluminum collar over the supercharger inlet port there. So I've got some degreaser on this rag. I'm just going to clean that a little bit. So this part here you want to install with this little flange towards the supercharger, like this. Goes right on there. And then we've got these 2 Allens that we've got to tighten up. Now those Allens on there come pre-treated with a locking agent from Riva, so you do not need to add additional Loctite. And Riva does provide you with this little Allen in the kit. So next we have our velocity stack here. And that needs to be hand tight. All right, so next we are going to get this piping here ready to install. So the first thing I want to do, and this is something I noticed, this may have residue inside, okay, from the production process, plastic. So take a rag and clean it out really well. You know, go through the whole thing and pull the rag out the other side. Make sure there's no bits of plastic in there, okay? I had a little bit of dust and plastic in this when I first got it, so make sure that's all cleaned out. Okay, so next we have this little fitting on the top here, and we're going to install this little damper assembly. I'm going to put some blue Loctite. Okay, got some blue Loctite on this. You want to make sure that this does not come out. All right, perfect. Okay, now next we have our power filter here. And this power filter is going to be up in the front of the hull, so you're not even going to see any of this normally, but it does look nice. So you're going to get that on there like that, and then we're going to go ahead and tighten up this hose clamp right here. All right, so now I have this Riva waterproof bonnet. This is something you don't want to avoid. I see a lot of guys install it without this. You need this, okay? You definitely need this on there. All right, so now I've got that waterproof bonnet over the filter. Keep in mind that if you don't have this bonnet and water gets splashed onto this filter, it's getting sucked right into your supercharger. And if it's salt water and it gets sucked in there and it sits in there, it's going to cause excessive corrosion and supercharger failure. It's going to get sucked into your intercooler. It's going to get sucked through your throttle valve. So this is, if you're doing a cold air intake, I highly recommend that you get this waterproof bonnet. I would not install one of these without the bonnet. So this will be in your ski like this. So, you know, orient this however you want to see it. All right, so then we've got these two clamps here. I'm not going to tighten these yet. I'm just going to get them on here. All right, so now we are ready to insert this cold air intake into the ski, get it installed. Keep in mind, we are going to have to come back and add the bolts to the top here in a moment. So you're just going to turn this a little sideways like that. You're going to feed it up into the front there. You're going to come down on the left side of the supercharger like this. So you can see I've got both my clamps on here. They're loose. We're going to position them in the right orientation before we tighten them. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to orient this intake the correct way, and we're going to slide it over like that. I'll show you again. So you're going to come in at an angle like this, and you're going to swing it around just like that. And I could do it with one hand. It's really not too difficult at all. All right, so you could see that there's the anti-vibration mount. There is our top mount, and we're going to put a bolt with a washer and a lock washer through that into that rubber cap there. And again, we're keeping this loose right here for the time being until we get that installed. Okay, so here is my bolt here. You can see that I've got a lock washer, a washer, and some blue Loctite. Now I'm going to reach up to the top of that bracket there, and I'm going to install it going down into that rubber damper. So what I did is I just reached around there, and you could see basically I got one hand and I just pushed that bolt through the top and then jiggled around the damper there until it kind of touched the threads, and then I gave it 3 or 4 turns by hand. And now I'm going to go in here with my 13mm socket and tighten it up all the way. So once you get that in place, we're now just going to go and tighten up those hose clamps. All right, so now finally we have our breather port. This is the factory oil separator down here. The oil separator, or PCV system, relies on vacuum pressure to remove excess pressure from the crankcase. And in my opinion, it's extremely important to keep that intact. I have it intact on my Kawasaki. I do not like deleting the PCV system. However, while I don't like deleting it, I do like adding a catch can to it. I've noticed that with the stock RPM, basically you don't have any blow-by in this tube. The oil separator down there basically catches most of it. So I do have a catch can, and I will be installing that in a separate video. because while it is good to have the vacuum to scavenge out the crankcase, you don't necessarily want any blow-by or oil going into your intake system. All right, and that is it. That is the install of the Riva Power Filter. You could see it up there. Goes pretty far forward in the hull. And you do have those ducts. You could see them coming down on the left and right there. So this does really clean up your engine bay. I mean, you can see how much extra space I have in there now. And so then you'll finally want to reinstall this hose here from the supercharger to the intercooler. In my case, I'm not going to reinstall that hose because I will be installing a BOV. So make sure to check out that video next. And no cold air intake video would be complete without a sound check. Also, make sure to check out my comprehensive ribbon delete kit installation tutorial. I've watched pretty much all of the ones on the internet, and I've produced one that not only gives you more information than anything else out there, but I give you all the torque values, the tightening sequences, and tips and tricks to get this done. Special thank you to Dave Bamdis and the team at Riva Racing for their generous support. Visit them online at rivaracing.com. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more exclusive jet ski content, only on JD's Waterworld.